Aces Wild.
The 2D beat-em-up genre was a giant during the 8 and 16-bit generations, as well as dominating arcades with their quarter-munching gameplay and cooperative game design. With the decline of arcades and the birth of new genres in 3D, the popularity of beat-em-ups waned, making way for new gaming zeitgeists. In recent years, the 2D beat-em-up has settled for reboots of classics with little success. Luckily, the love for the genre burns in the hearts of indie developers, and with this, Aces Wild Manic Brawling action comes to life. Does this beat 'em up deliver a first round knockout, or does it throw in the towel? Taking control of the title character Aces Wild, who must participate in this year's Maximus circuit in an attempt to preserve the lands held by the Wilder family. His brother Rex has struck a deal with key entrants of the tournament to ensure his victory so he could sell the lands for a hefty sum. In classic beat-em-up tradition, the story stops there, allowing you to pummel your way through the game stages without narrative interruptions. Aces Wild's obvious key focus is its stylized, fast-paced aerial combat. The controls consist of a light and heavy attack, which are linked to the wild meter located at the top left corner of the screen. This meter fills up with every light attack landed, increasing the potency of all your attacks. It's also used for health recovery and charged attacks. This simple idea creates a system in which managing your wild meter becomes crucial. You'll find yourself debating on whether to use it for a quick heal, full on charge attack, or conserving it for just a bit longer for an array of potent light attacks. The 3 selectable characters also bring a distinct combat style to the table, each with their unique skill set. If you find yourself in a bind, consider a new route by selecting another character. The combat is bittersweet. While it is mechanically solid, the level design and enemy encounters undermine its strengths. One minute you'll feel like you're part of a knuckle sandwich catering service, and the next you'll find yourself beaten, battered, and tossed out on your ass like an unruly patron at a biker bar. This often becomes a one-sided affair in the later stages, when the screen is cluttered with enemies, and one missed dodge results in 10 enemy hits. A handful of swords, fists, and daggers to the face is a high price to pay for missing one dodge. In a cluttered and chaotic melee, where sometimes the greatest challenge is keeping track of where your character is among the action. Enemy moves don't necessarily evolve either. Spamming becomes their game, and it becomes extremely irritating when the difficulty is ramped up by cluttering the screen with enemies instead of providing a clever mix of foes that complement one another's attacks and patterns. Boss battles continue the trend of being frustrating. Like their lesser counterparts, they have a bit of a pendant for spamming the same attacks again and again, creating a very narrow window in which to land attacks. Small mistakes and missed dodges are also punished severely. Earlier bosses are formidable at first, but quickly become a joke as you learn their patterns. Later encounters ramp up completely, taking much of the fun away as they become tedious and fucking annoying. Knowing what to do is one thing, but succeeding is another when everything consuming the screen seems to be at the right spot to put a hurting on you. All is slightly remedied though, as you can select any stage whenever, infinite lives, and instant respawn with full health after a loss. Still, consider having a pillow at arm's reach to smack around when anger consumes you. Leaderboards have recently been added for those looking to ascend them, and local multiplayer is available if you and a friend want to tackle the challenge as a team. Cooperative play isn't all that exciting though. Other than adding a second player on the screen, the game is exactly the same. If played on a small screen, the zooming in and out of the screen can be a pain, making it even more difficult to keep up with what is going on. Unless you have a large monitor and 2 controllers at hand, consider passing on the feature. Aces Wild channels the style of a 90s Capcom fighting game and side-scrolling titles with its interface and the character designs, but it is lacking when it comes to details. Many of the environments feel lifeless and static, and there are a few interactive objects. Generally, stages are constructed with a backdrop layer with platforms that are crisp and clean, but lacking in personality. A more dynamic environment could easily add another layer to the static world of Aces Wild, and pay better homage to a genre where using objects in the environment as weapons has been a long-standing staple. There's also a dearth of detail missing throughout all the characters, with little to no animation involved. Fortunately, the soundtrack is well done, delivering some fantastic 6-bit tracks and sounds. The foundations of a great game are definitely here, but the overall experience becomes a bit repetitive as the variation in enemies and environments do little to evolve along the way. Aces Wild is a tough game with some infuriating segments. There's no escaping the anger along the ride, but it's the nature of the beast. If it gets a sequel, an upgrade system is an obvious request, along with some improved visuals. Aces Wild Manic Brawling action is a large dose of nostalgia for a great price. If you're up for a beat 'em up and a challenge, pick it up when you have the urge. But remember, keep a pillow at arm's reach.